Hi, this is Ray Shields, and I'm here to talk today about how not to build an army. Because you shouldn't like losing, but you still need to lose with grace. I've recently attended two tournaments, the first being the Mood for Love 2, which was a one day, and the second was March of Death 2. And my one orc list was successful, and the second one was not. So hopefully, people can learn from my mistake. So, the first thing I try to do when I'm thinking up a list to take to a tournament is who are my likely opponents. And in the Northeast, what you're seeing is ogres and dwarfs. Ogres being speed 6, crushing with a defense 6 shield breaker possibility, high lightning bolt for the warlocks, all very typical in those lists. With dwarfs, right now you're seeing a defense 6 heavy list with some shooting, both at 12 inches through Golics and so forth, steel behemoths and the mastiffs, and longer range if they bring the sharpshooters. So the theme is I need to be able to deal with an army that brings a high amount of d6, possibility of an alpha strike, which would be something like the Varangur, or shooting. And those are generic army themes which I like to think of when I'm building my list, because I want to be able to have an answer against each of those. And what I was personally trying to do was test the limits of the Rampage aura. That being said, orcs are my fun list. I don't currently see them as a top tier meta choice in Kings of War at this time. So at 2,500 points, I used a lot of regiments. 4 Morax, 2 Long Axe, 2 Young Axe, 1 Great Axe. You'll notice that there were no items on any of them. These were mass numbers. 2 War Drums, 2 Giants with Cleavers. Cleavers gave me Slayer to help against ogres and other large items. The Flagger with Loot, Flagger with Tricksters, 2 Mansplitters, one of whom had wings, and Ulpgar the Mad. And what I found is, as much as I went 6-0 to begin with, I was completely lucky at my In the Mood for Love tournament. 2 of those games were definitely ties at best, if not one I should have lost. And in March of Death Day 2, playing the same army because I didn't want to change it because I began to understand how it worked. My first 3 games on day 1 went a lot better, and while 2 of them were very close, in all the cases I was feeling better playing this list at that point in time. So of this list, the key features were, if I'm going against ogres, those giants, speed 7 gives me the edge. With cleavers means that I'm 8 plus 2d6 attacks, so I have an answer against d6. I have an answer against dwarf d6. I have a bit of a speed. I can go with a mansplitter with wings after and delay an alpha strike army against me. Ulpgar the Mad gives me a Bane Chant, so I have 2 sources of Bane Chant. And overall, it was a fun, fast list with a little bit of speed through the giants and the wings, but really not much. And just enough mass to cause issues for my opponents. However, I made my 1995 point list for the second day of March of Death without thinking it through clearly that much. I just looked at my 2,500 point list, and I was like, I'll cut the 2 giants, I'll cut the trickster's wand, and I'll cut the wings. So the items that were the key features of my 2,500 point list to give me the crushing strength to deal with d6, to give me the wings to go after a person's shooting, I threw away. So not to take anything away from my opponents on day 2, in particular Eric, I got trounced by his goblins, but this list didn't work. And the 2 lists I played were goblins and shooting elves, and the elf list had approximately 80 shots. 3 units of Sea Guard, 45 shots, unit of Gladestalkers for an additional 12, bringing me up to 57. Silver Breeze with 14, which puts me up to 71, and 2 bolt throwers. So it was enough shooting that could pick up 2 regiments per turn with fair regularity. And with 3 turns of shooting to get across the board, I didn't have a lot left. So this list, missing the wings, didn't work. Against the goblins, even though Eric didn't take a lot of shooting, his 12-inch goblin breath war machines were just strong enough to cause me issues with no ability to respond. As much as I had the rampage, if you can't get to the opponent, if you can't shut them down, your army list will not work. So again, I don't want to take anything away from my opponents. Like I said, at 2,500, a couple of the games I got exceedingly lucky. But at 1995, I took away the key features. I was a Speed 5 list, and Speed 5 by itself in Kings of War with low defense will not work. So what did I learn? I learned that you need to have some speed in your list. You need to have an answer. I'm really beginning to appreciate speed 6 because it lets me get through the critical charge ranges. Something that can go speed 18 is also one of those key factors to deal with 18-inch shooting. Previously the Scorch Wings until they were toned down a little bit. I learned that as much as I really don't like Giants because they're very random, I like Giants because in an Orc list they provide me with a tar pit, some threat, and some speed. Probably these failings would have been noticed had I had done a practice game. So what I'd like to recommend to anyone is think through the armies you're going to fight against. If you're in the Northeast, ogres, dwarfs, possibly Twilightkin or elves coming out. Think of what themed armies you might need to fight against. Alpha Strike, Defense 6, Shooting, Balanced being the 4 obvious ones, and how you're going to deal with each of these. I did not put the time and effort into this, so my list did not work, and I lost the games with the list accordingly. So this list, this 1995 list, will not see the light of day again. That being said, I'm happy to talk to anyone if you want to throw me a list and have a discussion as to what works, what doesn't work with it. And I think at US Masters, looking ahead, Twilightkin is going to be the list to beat, whether you're planning to bring a Twilightkin list or planning to go against one. So even looking ahead at the future army tournaments and future armies, the meta is constantly shifting, which is a good thing. Overall, Kings of War is a fairly balanced game. Not all armies are equal, not all lists are equal. But if you want to win, you have to take the time to build a solid list, hopefully get a practice game in, and ideally a second opinion. Because if you want to win the game, you first have to not lose it. And you can definitely lose it in the army construction, as I found out. So hopefully, quick video, and you enjoy learning from the mistakes I made this past tournament, which I will not be making at the next one, because as much as people beat me, they beat me fair and square. I don't want to make it too easy for them to beat me again in the future. So thanks a lot, and wish you all a good night.